Young people are being encouraged to consider entrepreneurship to bridge the unemployment gap, and Praisy Dlamini decided to use her experience in winemaking to create her own brand, aptly titled Her. Now, her wine collection is represented by a team of young black women who have been working in the wine industry. It's created job opportunities and has offered scholarships to some young people to further their studies. And to discuss this further, we're joined by her wine general manager and winemaker, Praisy Dlamini. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm a wine lover, and you know, the subject of winemaking and the process thereof is very fascinating. But the transformation is even more key in getting black women in the industry. How did it start out for you?
You know, I think it's very challenging for everyone to get into the wine industry, purely because once you're there, there's a lot of challenges that you face, and you've got to have enough support system and also the networking to support you. And for us, myself and my team, we find ourselves in just right in the middle of that we were supported enough by the people in the industry in order for us to be able to come up with such a beautiful brand and also run the company within the wine industry.
All right, we'll come back to her, the company, the logistics, and how many people you employ. But I think sometimes we miss the story. We always see the glory. Were you exposed to the wine industry, or how were you? You know, got married at a vineyard somewhere in Franschhoek, and you thought, you know, this is an idea you want to pursue?
How I wish. No, for me, literally, I'm a KZN girl. I was born and bred in KZN, and little did I know that 15 years later, I'll be sitting here and talking about wine. And it's something that I didn't grow up knowing or understanding, for that matter. So through the Department of Agriculture opening the doors to actually fund my studies, to go study winemaking. So it's not just about you having a brand, is also the science, you understanding the science behind what is in the bottle. And also it's you being involved in a business so that you know how to actually take care of it, so that it takes care of you. And in that essence, you actually shine the light so bright that the other young people can see that it is possible, no matter what the circumstances are, or your background for that matter.
And I love that for you, because you're talking about the ownership of the value chain. So you're not just rebottling and putting your name on somebody else's product. You study, you know exactly what goes into it and what you want to portray to the rest of the world. You are now present at all Woolworths stores, because the first thing I noticed, you have a barcode. And when we speak to winemakers or emerging winemakers, their biggest struggle is getting on the shelves of stores and liquor outlets. And here you are. How did this all come about in a very short space of time, 15 years, you know?
No, I can say that the brand is only 2 years old, and as I said, it's the opportunities, the people that open up for you. We were introduced into the team at Woolworths, and they said, you know what, let's open a door for you. How it goes, it's really entirely up to you. And what worked for us is a story behind, as you said. It's a story of women. I mean, right now, women in the global space are being given a platform, or they're taking the platform to actually occupy the spaces in business that before we usually didn't. And also transformation, as you mentioned, because transformation is a great deal for us, because if we don't transform now, that means our children won't be able to live the fruits of what we're trying to build. So if you have the doors opened in the likes of Woolworths, in the likes of Macro, or whoever other outlet is, it enables us to make sure that we run a sound business and we are profitable, so that we can continue doing this. And the bursary also helps us into plowing back into the young generation.
Yeah, so it's not a saturated market, because I mean there's shelves on end. That's why when you know, you go and select a wine, it depends on the occasion as well. You stand there and you have to get a bit of advice from a connoisseur who'll tell you, okay, this one can be paired with this particular meal, and if it's a gift that you want to give somebody, rather go in the champagnes or sparkling wine spaces. So it's not saturated. You're saying that there's still opportunities to have your brand amongst the other great brands around the world.
It is very intimidating, I don't want to lie to you. That's why what helps you the most is knowing what you're doing, knowing your story, and owning your craft. And also whatever venture you want to establish within the wine industry, just put effort in it and work at it. And that's what my team and I are doing. It's everyday grinding. It's everyday waking up and even sometimes putting more than what you're supposed to in order to make sure that you know what you're doing. Because that is what's going to sustain you in the long run and also keep you in a competitive market.
Yeah. So when our viewers then go to Woolworths, I think before they... What time does it end before you can buy, before it expires for you to buy your wine? So they would go there and understand the story.
Yeah.
They will interface with the branding.
Yeah.
And wanting to know what HER stands for. Is it about women empowerment and maybe the alcohol content? But what I want to ask is, how do you, maybe as not a discerning wine drinker, identify the vintage, the bouquet, all of those things, aroma of a wine?
So what we've done with the first range is actually the initial range that we came up with. We made it into a sense that anyone can be able to enjoy it. We made it so expressive, especially the Sauvignon Blanc in the middle, that is so expressive that anyone can be able to enjoy it. And also when you taste it, it's not intimidating, because what I find within the people is that they get so intimidated. They think it's for the X amount of people or certain class of people, but that's not the case. Once you're able to actually open a bottle of your choice, be it a Chenin Blanc that you've just picked up, or on a red, the Pinotage, what works for you. Because at the end of the day, what we do, our job, is to make sure that we craft the wine that is for you to enjoy, and also that you're able to take to any occasion, or even by yourself, and enjoy with other people as well, or with food. So it's wines that are less intimidating and wines that are approachable, that you're able to enjoy, and also as a young beginner, that you can now be able to now grow into much more big and bolder wines.
Yes.
So that's literally the range.
Very encouraging. We're really, really inspired. Praisy Dlamini, her wine general manager and winemaker, in studio with us. So if you want to pick up a bottle for a special occasion, it is available at Woolworths stores around the country, as we support this young woman-owned business, creating much needed employment and also bursaries to study further in the wine industry.